Hey everybody, welcome to episode 5 of the One Shot Wonders. We are here and talking about our latest endeavor. Again, as a reminder, if you may not have seen the others, this is our one video series that is not family friendly. So if you are iffy on the whole language thing, go ahead and watch something else or send the kids away. So with that, we'll give you a moment and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everybody. Let's talk about the last episode with the big bad on this one being the Tao, the Genie of the Earth realm. So just kind of a recap of the episode. Our adventurers went to their friend / mad wizard scientist guy who had a mansion in the forest of a bunch of weird things. Tried to reward our players with a wish from a genie, and the genie escaped, ended up destroying part of the floor, sending our players falling down into what turned out to be a Medusa lair. From there, they then went into this greenhouse-like structure, and finally ended in the maze where they fought the Tao. The overall adventure was a success. Our players succeeded, but in the end, as is with all these episodes, they eventually all died. So let's grab our drinks and have a toast to Blaze Mildroar, Morgrim, Sero the Silent Wolf, and Uktar Patoa.
Why do you know Uktar's name off the top of your head, but not Morgrim's?
I can read ahead and talk at the same time.
He only has Uktar there.
Protein shake?
Okay, so with that, we did, however, the DM had to make a decision on the fly as to whether or not to kick one of the members out after the first fight, or to, for entertainment purposes and for balance purposes for the adventure, have that person continue. So with that, Sam, Morgrim was petrified in our first fight.
Yeah,
so
that was rough. Like I was thinking about using Indomitable for that, but I was like, nah, it's only like. Then it was like, oh, he's no more than 5. I was like, yeah, I might use that, but I rolled a 3.
That's true. The dice got you on that one.
Yeah.
So it is your turn for the shot.
Yeah, I just wolfed down a Pokeball before this, so I'm not taking a shot on an empty stomach. But prost, everybody! I did one really cool thing, and then I fucking died. Welcome to D&D.
And that's pretty good too for level. That was level 9, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
For level 9, yeah. Killing a PC after level 6 is no small thing. All right. So, talking about our adventure, we're going to start from the beginning, our episode hook. So, for those other DMs or other players out there, this one I think was a little different than what we've done in the past, in that we've established the players had a relationship with this quest giver. Sam, you all right there?
Oh, no, it's like something's tickling the back of my throat now.
Okay.
I took that down pretty well, thank you very much. It's just something's out tickling the back of my throat, so I needed a cough.
So, for those of you playing, if this were to be an actual one-shot, when you were either playing with strangers or doing something outside of your normal adventure campaign, how did that play with us starting you on horseback, walking through the forest, that kind of thing?
I think you've been solid, like, on all the hooks, like, especially, like, in a one-shot setting, whether with friends or with strangers. It's a really great way to get into the thick of it and into the fray. I guess since we all know each other and stuff, we kind of, like, don't talk as much, which we still did, though, which was a lot of fun, but I think it was a good hook.
Good.
I think if you give your character, like, one thing to stick with through the whole thing, it's easier to play him out, because Sarah was supposed to be quiet. I mean, it kind of worked out in his favor, but he did talk when talked to. Mm-hmm. So give your guy one trait and stick with it.
Cool. To actually go to that, though, I don't think it was great to have the sentient robe in the hands of the guy who doesn't speak, because then nobody knows it's speaking to him.
You know, that just means, I set up the scenario without knowing the characters you guys create, and then it just flows from there.
Sero the Silent Wolf. I wouldn't have thought it either, Aaron.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, he could have had a +12 to stealth.
Yeah. All right, so you traveled through the forest. You went into the intros of your characters and showed up there at the front gate to the mansion. So our first question specifically for Manny here and Sero the Silent Wolf. So remind everybody what your character class and subclass was, and just tell us how you kind of felt after that whole episode on that class.
Yeah, I was playing Sero. He was a human fighter. Pretty sure he was a battle master. I've played that class before, and I don't know, it's just super fun. Like all the different choices you get, like during like your combat, especially since you have like two attacks like per action. So there's a lot you can do, especially like using your reactions instead of just waiting for like an opportunity of attack. Like it was fun. I think it's a solid class to play.
Was there anything you didn't get to use either because of the situation you were in, or that you wished you would have?
I think just some of my items. I think I got rid of my items already, but I think I didn't use some of my items that I wanted to use because I had like holy water and like poison. I wasn't
gonna let holy water ruin this episode too.
I did use that what was it? It's like the bless spell, potion of heroism.
Okay.
I did use that though. That was pretty good.
Cool.
Bless is great at any level, my friend.
Yes. All right, so you went inside, had a little conversation with your wizard friend, and he showed you the genie that had been trapped, and as he tried to get the genie out to grant the wish, the genie escaped and ended up destroying the floor and dropping you all into the dark cavernous lair, where you determined that there was a Medusa there. So just kind of what I had designed here is that this was kind of a laboratory that you were in, and each of the wizard's rooms were various things. Various experiments, sorry. But what I designed for this one is that at some point, the wizard had captured a Medusa and was sending in forest animals. So actually, Chuck made the map for that one. And I specifically asked him to have statues of forest animals. So you had the deer, you had the birds that were in there, and the idea was that the wizard was sending in forest animals to be petrified, and then he had those helmed horrors who are immune to petrification would go in there and grab the animals and then pull them out for the experiments. So that was the kind of setup for the story of what this adventure was. So that's why those were in there. And then the helmed horrors, when they sensed the combat, their job was to keep the Medusa alive as part of the experiments, which is why the helmed horrors attacked you guys. So that's that. How do you... We'll get to Sam. I want you to hold off on this one, because specifically you. But how about Chuck? How did this Medusa fight go for you?
I lived.
That's great entertainment.
Yeah, it was. I had to. I mean, it was nice that it was blacked out. I mean, having made the map, I had a general idea of the layout, and I wanted to try not to metagame it.
Yep.
I like to say, "Hey, guy, the door's right over there."
Right.
So that part, I had to kind of work with. I didn't have really any particular skills that benefited me in that situation.
Cool.
So I mean, it was a little sketchy, not knowing where everything was and where the danger was.
I think the site really was a factor in that fight. I think there was only a 30-foot radius the whole way around for you to see. And so the helmed horse specifically came out of nowhere in the dark. Blaze or Beau, how about anything stand out in that fight for you?
I mean, the hardest part of this whole session for me was just balancing my feats and the abilities that my class gave me, because a lot of them are either reaction based or bonus action based. So it's just a hard decision of deciding whether I wanted to do a feature or if I wanted to do like an actual class ability, because a lot of times it was hard to decide because they're both just such, good decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just the hardest decision that I had. So I feel like during this, it was really hard for me to showcase the actual abilities that my class had. So I feel like going forward in an actual campaign, it would have been nice to have used more of my actual class abilities. And that's one thing I kind of regret from this one shot, is relying more on my features than I did on the actual abilities that my character had.
Right. And I think one thing we're learning now that we're kind of getting rolling in this episode series is maybe I should let you guys know a little bit more about what you'll be facing, because this is now twice. Sam, you had this in the vampire episode, and then Beau, you had this in this one, where you'd set up for mounted combat that would have been more beneficial outdoors, and then I put you in a very confined area.
Well, really, what kind of, the reason that I went with the mountain combatant or whatever is just due to the other subclasses that my friends ended up choosing. I ended up choosing late, and just after that, it was like, well, which one of the remaining fighter subclasses are available? So
Gotcha.
The one that I chose was that. But although it is catered more to being mounted, the abilities aren't restricted to only being a mountain combat. I keep saying that awkwardly, but you understand what I mean.
You're pronouncing it right, buddy. Don't
understand
doubt
what
yourself.
I mean.
But yeah, Beau has a point though. Mountain combatant. Well, the cavalier does sound like you should be on horseback, but it definitely, all its abilities don't rely on you needing a mount, because there's no way for you to really get a mount either through magic means like a paladin or something. So even though we didn't have
what's that feature?
Mountain combatant doesn't mean a horse pops out of nowhere. You have to buy one, or something, So, but what I'm saying is even though it cavalier, it sounds exactly how you described it. Its features don't include that. It was still a really awesome tank subclass of the fighter to use. And actually, Aaron, if you don't mind, going back to what you said about kind of prepping us more, that's kind of the point of D&D in general. We're not supposed not knowing what we're going into, so we can't plan for it. Right. I think if we knew what we were going into, we would meta a game our way to be able to be nth top. I mean, yeah, I had a mount that I had in the vampire episode, but it was still, one, I was still able to utilize it. Two, I didn't have to mount it. I could have easily just been on foot, my dragon kind of flying about, running around. But that's kind of the name of the game, adapt and keep moving forward.
Right. So for Beau and Sam, you were the only two that got affected by the Medusa's petrifying gaze. So if I remember right, Beau, you were knocked out for 2 rounds. And then Sam, you kind of put yourself in. Yeah, you full on got knocked out, but you still got to use your stuff before that. Mm-hmm. So any comments, Sam, on anything you would have done differently?
Probably looked away. I just didn't want to get disadvantage on my attacks. Once we the Medusa dropped and stuff, and based on character play, our character token placement, I knew that Morgan would definitely go for the Medusa because in his mind he was like, okay, Cero's got that. Cero's over there. He's got that glowing eye thing. Blaze is down there. He's got that glowy eye thing. And this Medusa is near closest to me, so that's what I'm going to go for. I really had a lot of fun with this subclass. Even before I had died, I was bummed out, but I was I still got to do something crazy fun. I always pat myself on the back when I make you go, I didn't plan for this, because that's fucking hilarious to me. where you just throw you for a loop and you don't know. So when I was just are these horses part of the ground, or are they kind of just sitting there? You were just I don't know where you're going with this. And just being able to drop that on the Medusa and cause so much other stuff to think outside the box was just a lot of fun.
Yes.
And then you're just I can't delete this from the map because I wasn't expecting this to be broken. I'm yeah. So I was really happy about that.
Well, that's a good lesson for aspiring DMs out there. If you got a player that uses the terrain, be ready for it, or at least know the rules. And if you watch the episode, you saw me like, sometimes you got to figure it out on the fly.
I'll just delete these invisible walls, and that's not there anymore. It's like, got it.
Yes.
But it was, yeah. Overall,
so on the same note, I had to do the same thing at the end, because when I originally designed this, there was no basket of anti-petrification potions there.
I messaged you on Discord like during the session.
You're like, should I
dip? Like I'm dead. I don't want to just like sit around.
Right. And so I'm debating while the rest of you guys were walking around trying to figure out how to get out. I'm like, okay, do I stick to it and just tell Sam to pound sand and get out of here? But then I was like, no, the point is to test the CR of the system, and if we take Sam out, that's going to screw that up. But on the same note, he got knocked out in the first round of the CR system. So I decided to keep him, just one for entertainment purposes, and two to keep that balance there. But also, yes, I added the basket of potions. While you were doing that, I don't know if you could see me, but I was typing like petrification potions. And if I don't think there was actually one from the official 5e. I just had to find some homebrew thing.
Yeah. There's definitely like what could have worked was like remove like a spell scroll of remove curse, because the gaze is considered a curse. And I also like how
I was a little wary on that, because since none of you were the correct spell casting type, it still would have been a roll of the dice for you to use that spell scroll, and I didn't want to leave it at that.
Fair enough.
So
I also like too how like, because one, this was my first encounter with Medusa, and I feel like a Medusa, along with a vampire and like many well-known monsters, it's easy to like be able to like know exactly what is what about this monster. Like, I know it has a petrifying gaze, I know I can't look at it, and all this stuff. But what I really liked that it added in there was the Medusa was subject to its own curse. So if you brought a mirror and made it look at its own reflection, it would be subjected to its own gaze,
right?
Just like in Percy Jackson.
Yes. Well,
and Greek mythology.
Jason and the Argonauts.
It was Jason, wasn't it? Shit.
I don't know.
That's my bad.
Percy's a little more modern than I don't know that one.
I mean, yeah.
You remember that's the old school one with the little clockwork owl?
No, Jason and the Argonauts goes after the Golden Fleece, but Perseus still goes after the Medusa head to fight the Kraken.
Perseus, yeah, you said Percy Jackson. That's like a kid's
That
book.
is fair. That is something completely different.
You're thinking of Clash of the Titans, where he had the little mechanical owl.
I'm thinking
Clash
of the Titans.
But
I was thinking of Rick Riordan's, like fantasy novel. That's my bad. But
moving on then. So my question, Sam, for your character, anything you didn't get to use, anything you would have done differently? How'd you like the class?
Loved the class. I thought it
Remind us what
versatile. It was. Oh yes, I was playing a level 9 Goliath fighter, subclass the Psy Warrior, one of the new ones added in Tasha's. And I've been eyeing this one with the Soul Knife for a long time, and I've had the chance to play both. The Soul Knife up to level 5 and now the Psy Warrior at level 9, which is a real sweet spot with D&D classes, because it's like it gives you a lot of the core abilities but not everything, so you have stuff to look forward to. And this was just really fucking fun. Like, just like look back at the video, like I'm like genuinely enjoying like everything like my character's doing and stuff. There were some magic items, like when it came to features I was able to use everything. Like my class, subclass, mainly subclass, I mean the fighter, I used everything from the main fighter class as well, but at that level it's just extra attack, action surge, and indomitable, so used all those to no avail for indomitable. But there were some magic items we didn't use, because like when we were looking at them, I just looked up like wacky wondrous items, and like I had like a flask of winds to do like gust of wind for something. I had the necklace of fireballs that came in handy and let Chuck see a level 9 fireball, which probably shouldn't have been level 9, but like it happened. It was probably like one level off than what it should have been. Okay. And then and I had a really cool, I'm gonna try to make it work in a future one shot, but there was a combination of magic items that was like really fun. But yeah, I was able to use most of my stuff. It was 10 out of 10. It's probably tied with Kron. I can't say that. I've liked pretty much every character I've been playing so far.
Sweet.
So it was great though. Another win.
All right. Moving on, you then got Morgrim back from petrification and then went off into the greenhouse area, where you encountered the creepy flower in the middle, so that was a corpse flower, which, if I remember right, is from Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. Yeah. And then 2 awakened trees, which surprised some of you. Blaze. If I remember right, you ran right up to that flower in the middle and started this whole thing. Was that right?
Sounds like Blaze. I mean,
so how did that fight go then?
I mean, I don't know. He's just always been used to war. Like that's kind of his backstory, is just being the one to. He's a cavalier. He charges in. You know what I mean? So that's what I did. I regret not popping that potion of fire giant strength. Like I really regret not.
Well, that potion of fire breathing you did in that fight was quite effective.
Oh, that was a spell from
Dragon Breath I put on him.
Oh, that was the spell. That's right.
Yeah. He put it on Morgrim, and he was that was really awesome.
I don't know. That's one thing I have definitely underutilized. Like during this entire thing that we have done, is just the spell. The items that we've been granted.
Gotcha.
Because that one would have changed me. I mean, and you guys know, like Tuesday nights and our normal game nights, I'm whacking people, you know. But here I tried to do Great Weapon Master, and it was like, you're not gonna hit as hard. You're not.
Right.
And it was just like, I don't know. That potion would have drastically changed things. But charging into the fight like that left me a little bit open there for a moment. So.
Uktar, I think the trees kind of caught you by surprise on that one. How did that go?
I think I was mostly worried about the zombies coming out of the flower.
Okay.
That was the biggest, and I, honestly, I'd never really played an Eldritch Knight, and I kind of was taking more of a support role.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and just keeping my big thumping stick ready.
So we can roll right into that. So tell us about the class. Anything you didn't get to use that you wanted to. How do you think that class would? Would you play it again? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, actually, I really like this character. I mean, you guys remember I rolled the stats,
mm-hmm.
you know, on the show, and they're phenomenal stats. And you put us on the restriction of we had to pick a fighter class.
Yep.
And so I needed to find a subclass and a race where I could maximize, you know, the stats.
Yep.
And so I went with Eldritch Knight. You know, you get melee combat, you got casting. You know, it was good. I mean, I probably could have done a cleric as well. You know, and get us some healing in there, and maybe some turn undead. You know, something like that.
Yeah.
But I like the character. I got to use. I mean, I didn't use all my spells, but I used some spells to decent effect. You know, it definitely has a lot of potential. I'd like to play something like this in a long-term campaign.
Cool. And yeah, hopefully us playing this, and not only you guys are getting a chance to play things you wouldn't have normally played, but our viewers are getting a chance to see how those are played as well. So, Blaze, or Beau, your class, we talked a little bit about already, but I want to move on to our final fight, not necessarily against the Tao itself, but that Earth Elemental. The last few rounds of combat, it was just a pillow fight of dice rolling back and forth.
Man,
did you run out of options, or kind of how are you feeling there at the end of that?
I mean, a lot of the abilities that the class does have are based on long rest. So, like, after I used them, it was basically, that's all it was. It was just my die versus his. I mean, like, and with the abilities that I have, like, a lot of the features that I have are all like offensive based. None of them are really anything to boost like the actual attacks or anything that I have. I mean, obviously Great Weapon Master, but that's a -5 penalty to hit, like, right off the bat. So
if you were had the opportunity to rebuild the character after that, was there
I don't think I would have. No.
Okay.
I think the only thing that I would have changed is I just would have been a little bit smarter about the actual class abilities that I had.
Okay.
and use them a little bit more strategically.
Okay. So moving into that fight, you guys then moved into the maze area where you found your wizard friend already dead and killed. You then proceeded into the maze area there. How did that maze part go? Because I think that's the first time we've done anything close to a maze. And how did the map work for that? Morgrim, I think, if I remember right, you were in front.
Yeah, I was kind of like scoping things out. I also wanted to comment on that. I think this was the most unique final boss room that in the series so far we've been thrown, because usually the final boss room is just a room that we go into. I think the next one that comes close is the Gelatinous Cube, because at least with that one, people are dropping debris from above and it's blocking certain paths, so it's been limiting our ability to move around the cube, which has a very small movement speed.
Yeah.
So having this maze and having these like small encounters with like the Zorn and whatnot throughout, and then next thing you know, just rounding a corner and there's a Dow in your fucking face. That was a lot of fun, especially when you use like Wall of Stone and stuff like that to like really separate the party. That one time, I think it would have been nice to have a short rest going in there.
Yep.
Because fighters are one of those classes that do benefit from short rests. I know for me, I would have gotten mostly everything back except for my psionic die, and I think, but it would have been good to get a short rest in there. But for time constraints and like the way that kind of labyrinth and laboratory worked, it made sense to just go from room to room because there wasn't really a moment of reprieve like we've had before. But kudos to you. That was a lot. That was a really unique room for it. It really made us think like more than just, you know, going in there and then doing great weapon master and failing.
Sorry, we're all distracted by Manny's cat.
Of course.
Cool. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. I really tried to make sure the map was more of a factor in this one.
It was for sure. I even had a weapon that was good for structures, and it was like not even doing anything.
Yes. Yeah, that Wall of Stone takes a bit to get through.
Yeah.
Cool. So then we had that fight, and you guys actually handled that pretty well. The hard part with the magic he was able to cast to get behind you and come through the wall, the problem with that is that took a whole turn to get there, and so he cast a pass wall to get through, and then he was just there ready for you guys to hit, and so then you actually started rolling a little better and were able to knock him out in that one. I think the other thing, at least for me, from the Dow setting, is the Dow has an ability on natural earth to move a lot better and move around, and so since we were in worked stone, I wasn't able to use that. So that was one trade-off I had with the maze and not being able to be in natural earth that would have maybe changed things a little bit. But with that, any questions for me from you guys?
How did you enjoy it? In terms of how did you feel when you petrified me, I guess? You thought that was really fun? Were you panicking? Like I'm legit curious because like from like as a DM when I accidentally killed a character off one time in like session 0, and I was like, oh no, I didn't know how to really react.
I've done that too, to who's like guy whose first time ever playing 5e, and I killed his character on accident. Yeah.
I mean, you can't help it. I mean, I wrote like.
Here it wasn't too bad because of just what this series is you're dying anyway, and I'm playing full tactics to try and beat you in this setting, and so when I got it, I was like, well, that sucks. It was more of a, all right, how do I keep this thing entertaining for everybody? But if it would have been a full campaign, I might have felt a little bad, but sometimes that's how the dice roll, and that's where you go. But
that's how it be.
Yes.
I have a question for you, Aaron.
Sure. What's up, Beau?
My question is how did your planning change from this session to the last one?
You mean from the Dow to the next one I'm doing, or?
Yeah, from One Shot Wonders 4 to One Shot Wonders Session 5.
Okay, so from the Hag to the Dow?
Yeah, from the Hag to the Dow, yeah.
So what I did on this one is the Hag had more fights. It had 5 fights. And so I took my daily XP budget in the Hag and I really spread it out to easier encounters, but more of them. And so for this one, I was like, all right, you guys handled the hag pretty damn easy. So how do I make this harder? And in the first episode, we did 3, I think it was 1 hard and 2 deadly, and I ended up winning that one. So I was like, all right, let's try that again since I haven't won since then. So I was like, all right, we're going to do 3 encounters that are hard with no short rests and see how that goes. So that's how I changed it, to kind of play with the CR and the daily XP a little bit. Because what I've found is the more I spread the encounters out, it's 1, the episode ends up being longer, and 2, it's not as hard for you guys. If that makes sense.
It does. And I had another question too.
Uh-huh.
I noticed that the magic items excuse me. The magic items like drastically change up like how the CR affects the party. Did because I've never really read a lot of the books, did the CR change like when Xanathars came out, like to scale with the magic items that Xanathar recommended adding per party?
Not that I don't think so, because the CR is completely based on your monster levels.
So that's why I feel like a big reason that like a lot of times we might be like steamrolling these encounters is because the amount of magic items that we're given is just, you know, a lot of them, you know, some of them are truly balanced, but some of them really can be used in a way that like makes them broken, you know?
Absolutely.
You
If we were using like a standard short sword, you know, for a lot of these fights, and a standard warhammer, no magic or anything like that, a lot of it would have gone differently.
Oh yeah, because at this, I think they kind of build it into like higher DC monsters too, where they make them resistant to non-magical like bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing, because it expects you then to like have these weapons and have these items at that level. Hence why I think, as Aaron's brought up, Xanathar's brought up a table to be like, at this level your character should have X amount of magic items like at their disposal.
And I've learned a few things myself in this, in that one, I learned in the vampire episode that I should read a little closer on Xanathars. At I think it's level 11, the level of the players stops matching the CR of the monster. So when we did the vampire episode and you were 13 and the vampire was CR 13, you should have been like a 10. So we're going to roll into our next episode, which is actually, I'm not going to tell you what the bad guy is, but you guys are going to be level 13s again, but the CR is going to be higher because that's what Xanathar says. So we're kind of testing that one again as well. But as far as the magic items go, the other thing is I was like, okay, Xanathar's has all these magic items, and so at this level, here's about what you should have. Well, what I failed to do before this was some of the magic items are consumable. So you might get to level 13, but you're not going to have all those because you used them beforehand. So what I've done for the next episode as well is take that table, say, all right, here's where Xanathar says what the DM should have given you, and then I'm going to bring that number down for what you might have used in a campaign earlier, to kind of bring that magic item level down as well.
Ooh,
so that's kind of what I've learned.
Yeah, because I remember you said like you're supposed to have like in a regular campaign level 1 to 20, you have X amount of magic items being given out.
So for 4 players, it's 100 at magic items from 1 to 20.
Yeah,
and then that
includes potions, right?
Yes,
like that's anything. Yeah, so
consumables.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
it's actually I like that. I like whatever math goes into like figuring that out. It's fun,
right? So it's interesting. I like to think for the viewers that we have, who knows how many we have at this point, all 2 of you.
Hey, we're at like a solid 4.
All right, we're not professionals. We're learning as we go. And
we're 2 of them.
We'll get this all put out there slightly before 5.5 comes out.
Yeah. Oh, before we go,
yes.
Manny, did you have a question earlier? I feel like you got talked over.
No, I just said that Morgrim single-handedly killed Zero.
Oh yeah, I was like, why do you have to be a dick right now, man? I thought we were friends, and I'm like, oh yeah, I fireballed everyone. I fireballed you.
So
I've done that so many times. too.
That's true.
I really feel, I really do like not feel bad at all about it, but like.
So with that, we're gonna roll into our prep for the next episode. So here's what we're gonna do. One, I've already talked about. I fixed the CR, so we're gonna be at 13, but your big bad is going to be more tough than a vampire. And then 2, I fixed the amount of magic items I'm going to give you based on Xanathars and brought that down a little bit. But this is going to be the last episode where I follow CR as D&D has it. Because in our normal campaign, I have to ramp up our fights big time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and find that balance where it's actually challenging for you from after episode 6. And we'll kind of play with that and see how that goes. So here's what I'm going to do for episode 6. Some of you might hate me for this. So when I told the guys we had to reschedule this last week, and so they asked for a random clue as to what I was going to be doing. So I gave them the clue of OSR, and you guys did not guess it.
I did. I did.
What?
I just didn't.
Did I not? Aaron?
What did you guess?
I said
It's
old school
the-
revival.
Oh, okay. Then you did. I missed that
Old school
one.
Renaissance, my
Okay.
guy.
You guys were giving me some weird
And you didn't
answers
say
in
that
Discord.
before me though.
I didn't
Okay.
say it because it was like, what else
Old
gonna
school.
come up
So
with?
here's
That's
what,
a good. That's a good answer.
here's what we're gonna do for this one. We're gonna roll stats again, but this time it is going to be in order. So whatever you roll,
No.
strength, dexterity,
3d6?
constitution, all the way across. Now, here's what I want to ask
3d6,
though.
or are you going to allow 4d6 and drop the lowest?
That is the question. Do you want to do 3d6 and leave it, or do you want to do 4d6 drop the
If
lowest?
you're going to go all the way back to OD&D, where I started at, it's 3d6. Roll them in order.
You could end
decide
up with
what
a
your-
3.
Decide what your class is based on your stats.
Yep.
Can we just do Rand Care? What? Can we just do Rand Care?
No.
I feel like that's what we're gonna. Yeah, I don't know how we're gonna
Well-
roll these.
Well, Rand Care would be 46, drop the lowest. You could still roll Rand Care, but then we would just use the first 3 dice from that roll.
But that still drops the lowest one though.
Well, no,
Like,
we
in
just
a
we
version-
The lowest
just
one might be
manually
the first one.
total it up. So what do you guys want to do? 3d6 or 46 drop the lowest?
3d6. 3d6.
All right, so we
You know,
got
I already had one, like with pretty average rolls. Let's go for another.
Okay,
I know
let
it's gonna
me-
bite me in the ass, but
let me
let's do it.
fix over here our
I'm just saying, like if all my stats are like around 5, I'm just gonna be like, and I will be absent. My character's gonna go in and just die.
All right, so I've got our bot commands
my
pulled
goodness. Okay.
up. All right, looks like Beau, are you rolling already?
Yep.
All right, so we've got a strength of 8. We've got a dex of 7.
I guess I'm a caster.
Let's not talk too soon, buddy.
Let's see your con. Con of is that a 12?
That's
Yes.
a 12. 12
Con
is
of
good.
12,
12 's
okay.
not bad.
That is awful.
What's next?
You're too min-max, buddy.
This is terrible, my guy. What do
Is
you
that-
mean? I'm
is
not,
twi-
Dex?
Wisdom.
I'm not even. Whatever
That
the
would be
next-
intelligence.
Intelligence
after
Intelligence
in,
12.
Yeah,
Now
dude,
it's
I'm not
wisdom,
Even gonna,
now it's
I'm not
charisma.
even gonna roll enough to play jack shit.
That's a lie. You're starting at level 1, going to level
Dude,
13.
this-
You have
Okay,
the size.
11
Fucking
wisdom.
Terrible, dude.
Okay, let's see your charisma. Are you going to be a warlock? 13.
Yes,
All
he
right.
is.
That's
So
awful, dude.
that's Beau's stats. Level 13. There's your starting stats. All right, who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
All
Come
right.
on, Chuck.
All right, Chuck.
It's straight 18s across the board.
All right, here she goes.
Not bad, not bad.
11 strength. Okay, a 10 for Dex. Nine for Con.
Can you just like keep going down to like 8, 7, 6?
Oof, 11 intelligence. You're
That's
gonna
like
be-
that's average though, like
Yeah,
3,
you're
4,
gonna
4.
be
That's pretty
commoner.
good. We're all gonna be commoners, man.
Ooh, a 4.
What is that
That's my
for?
wisdom, right?
That's wisdom.
Oh, yeah, I ain't no cleric. Bam. Okay, that
All
ain't
right,
bad.
and an 11 for charisma. All right, well, that'll be
The
some
four
fun
sucks, but
stuff to
other than
work
that,
with.
that's not a bad set of numbers.
All right.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'll go next. I'm
Okay.
scared. Ah! Alright.
12. All right, 12 strength. Ain't bad.
12. Did it roll? Oh, it did not. Yeah, roll it. Damn it. Okay. It won't let me like choose like the previous message. So, one moment. So 12 strength. Let's control copy this. 11 dex.
Yeah. Ooh.
16 con.
Okay. Got you a paladin here.
I don't know. It's too early right now, man. Too early.
All right.
Okay, seven intelligence. That's
Definitely a fighter.
matches real life. I was gonna say barbarian, but I've already played one. 12 wisdom.
12 wisdom.
Okay, and charisma. 11 charisma.
11 charisma.
Okay, wait before we like? No, I can look at my rules. Never mind.
That looks
Manny,
like
you
a
go.
cleric to me, man.
Oh, Lord.
It looks
All
like
right.
how actually, Chuck. It looks like whatever the fuck I want it to be. So
All right, Manny. Let's see it.
All right,
got this, Manny.
here we go. You guys already took all the luck from the well.
Dude, literally no.
14.
Yes, look at that.
Yeah.
14 strength. Oh,
There we go. There we go. Now it's
5
back down.
dex. Okay.
Hey.
12 con.
Not bad.
9 intelligence.
We're all just fighters.
Again.
8 wisdom.
Oh man, dude, you're gonna be
10 charisma.
you're gonna be Dalric like in this campaign, man.
All right, so there are your stats. So here's level 13, and then no restrictions on class or race. So you can play whatever you like.
Yeah, so look at
I
them low
will-
scores. Look at the racial modifiers.
I will post the magic items for you guys on our normal campaign page. But because it is 13, there are going to be a couple nice items that you are going to get. But just for our listeners, Beau, you're going to get 1 rare major item, 2 uncommon majors, 1 rare minor, 2 uncommon minors, and 2 common minors. Chuck, you're going to get 1 very rare major, 2 uncommon majors, 1 rare minor, 2 uncommon minor, and 2 common minors. Sam, you're going to get 1 rare major, 1 uncommon major, 1 rare minor, 2 uncommon minor, and 2 common minor. And Manny, you're going to get 1 very rare major, 2 uncommon major, 1 rare minor, 2 uncommon minor, and 2 common minor. And I'll post this again on the page so you guys have all that.
Oh, you're gonna post it? Cool. I was like trying to write it
Yeah,
down.
that's good.
Yes. All right. So with that, I think unless anyone has anything else, we will finish up our second shot happy hour here.
All right.
That's a
Nope.
wrap.
All
don't have
right,
anything.
that's a wrap. We'll see you guys on episode 6.
Bye.
Well, bye.
Good night, family.